Almost everyone who drives has heard it. If you want to save gas, turn off your AC. Whether it's advice from a parent, something you read online, or a tip from a friend trying to be helpful, this belief is incredibly common. On the surface, it makes sense. The idea is simple. Using air conditioning puts extra load on your engine, so it burns more fuel. But here's the real truth. That idea is outdated, oversimplified, and in many cases, just plain wrong. The truth is a lot more nuanced, and with modern vehicles being more advanced than ever, the old turn off the AC to save fuel advice doesn't really apply the way it used to. In fact, depending on how and where you're driving, turning off your AC could end up costing you more in gas. Let's break down the science, look at the data, and bust this myth once and for all. Like many myths that stick around for years, this one has a foundation in truth, but only under certain conditions and mostly in the past. Back in the 1980s and 90s, air conditioning systems in vehicles were far less efficient than they are today. The compressors were bulkier, the technology was less refined, and the overall fuel efficiency of vehicles was lower. Running the AC in those older cars did, in fact, cause a noticeable drop in fuel economy. This was especially true for cars with smaller engines. When the AC was switched on, it would put a significant load on the engine, causing it to work harder and burn more fuel. So drivers started turning off the AC and rolling down the windows to try and save money on gas. And for a while, that method actually helped. But today's vehicles are not the same machines from 30 or 40 years ago. Technology has improved, engines are smarter, more efficient, and better at managing loads. AC systems have evolved to the point where their impact on fuel economy is minimal, and in some cases, running the AC might even be better than rolling down your windows. Modern cars are smarter than you think. Most vehicles manufactured after 2010 are designed to optimize fuel use and engine performance. The air conditioning systems in these cars use something called a variable displacement compressor. Instead of working at full power all the time, these compressors adjust based on how much cooling is needed. If the car only needs a slight temperature change, the compressor eases off, reducing the load on the engine and using less fuel. On top of that, many newer vehicles are equipped with engine control units, ECUs, that automatically regulate when and how the AC system operates. If you're driving uphill or accelerating rapidly, the car's computer may temporarily reduce power to the AC system to prioritize performance. These systems are built to make smart decisions in real time, balancing comfort and efficiency. In hybrid vehicles and electric cars, the story is even more interesting. These models often use electrically driven compressors that don't draw power from the engine at all. Instead, the AC system runs off the battery, meaning it doesn't directly affect fuel consumption. In these vehicles, the old advice about AC hurting gas mileage becomes completely irrelevant. What actually uses more gas? AC or open windows? One of the biggest arguments for turning off the AC is the belief that opening the windows is a better alternative, but that ignores the significant impact of aerodynamics, especially when driving at higher speeds. When windows are rolled down, particularly on the highway, it increases aerodynamic drag. Essentially, air pushes harder against your vehicle, and the engine has to work more to keep up speed. In 2004, the Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE, in partnership with General Motors, conducted a study to find out exactly what happens when drivers choose windows down versus ACON. They used full-size SUVs in their tests, evaluating performance on tracks and in wind tunnels. Their findings were eye-opening. At lower speeds, like city driving under 40, if rolling the windows down did slightly improve fuel economy compared to using the AC, the wind resistance wasn't enough to make a major difference. But once the vehicles hit highway speeds, the game changed. The drag created by open windows had a larger impact on fuel consumption than running the air conditioner. In some cases, using the AC actually resulted in better overall fuel efficiency on the highway. So while it may seem like you're saving gas by switching off the AC and letting the breeze in, the reality is that you might be doing more harm than good, especially if you're driving above 50 or 60. Using your car's air conditioner does consume energy, but not always in the dramatic way people imagine. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, running your AC can reduce fuel economy by roughly 5 to 25%. But that 25% figure usually only applies under extreme conditions. conditions, like in very high heat with the AC blasting at full power and the vehicle idling in traffic for extended periods. Under normal driving conditions, most vehicles see only a small drop in fuel efficiency when the AC is on, somewhere in the range of 2 to 5%. For example, if your car normally gets 30 miles per gallon, you might see that drop to 28 or 29 when the AC is running. It's also worth noting that modern fuel injection systems are much more precise. The difference in how much fuel your engine uses with or without AC is often barely noticeable in real-world driving, especially if you're maintaining a steady speed on the freeway. Rather than swearing off your AC and suffering through hot summer drives, there are smarter, more effective ways to save fuel, all without sacrificing comfort. One of the most practical things you can do is use your car's recirculation mode. When activated, this setting recycles the already cooled air inside the car rather than constantly pulling in hot outside air. That means the AC system doesn't have to work as hard and the cabin stays cooler with less effort. Another useful habit is avoiding extended idling while trying to pre-cool your car. While it might be tempting to start the engine and let it run with the AC on before getting in, it's not the most efficient method. Instead, start driving. Airflow from movement helps the AC system cool the interior faster than sitting still. Parking in the shade can also make a major difference. When a car sits in direct sunlight, the interior temperature can spike rapidly, forcing the AC to work harder once you get in. Using sunshades or window reflectors can keep the cabin significantly cooler and ease the burden on your AC system. Keeping your air conditioning system well maintained is another important factor. If your car has low refrigerant levels, a dirty cabin air filter, or a failing compressor, the AC will work harder and become less efficient, meaning more fuel used. Regular maintenance ensures it runs as efficiently as possible. Lastly, grouping errands together into a single trip is not only more convenient, but also better for fuel economy. Short trips from a cold start use more fuel overall, and they give your AC less time to work efficiently. A warmed-up car operates far better and more efficiently than one constantly starting and stopping. There are still a few lingering myths about AC systems that deserve to be addressed. One is the idea that cracking the windows is always a good alternative to using the AC. While it might provide a small amount of relief, it doesn't actually cool the air inside your vehicle. On hot days, the air outside can be just as warm or warmer than the inside of your car. And as we've seen, rolling the windows down at high speeds increases drag, which can waste more fuel. Another common misconception is that the AC system only cools the car. In reality, it also plays a critical role in defogging your windows. On rainy or humid days, the AC removes moisture from the air, which keeps your windshield and windows clear. Turning it off entirely can compromise visibility, which poses a safety risk. Some people also claim that using the AC robs the car of performance. While that might have been true for older or underpowered cars, today's engines are more than capable of handling a little extra load without noticeable loss in acceleration or speed. In most driving situations, you won't feel a difference. So, what you do, the key takeaway here is balance. Turning off your AC might save you a tiny bit of fuel in very specific circumstances, like driving short distances in cooler weather. But for the majority of drivers, especially those spending time on the highway or in modern vehicles, the fuel savings are negligible. Comfort and safety should always come first. Being overheated while driving can lead to fatigue, distraction, and even heat exhaustion in extreme cases. It's not worth risking your well-being to save a few cents at the pump. If you really want to save fuel, focus on consistent driving habits, keeping your car properly maintained, and using your AC wisely, not turning it off completely. There are, admittedly, very limited scenarios where turning off your air conditioning might result in a minor improvement in fuel economy, but they're often overhyped. For example, if you're driving a compact car with a small engine like a 3-cylinder hatchback and you're driving at low speeds in stop-and-go traffic, the AC might create a slightly higher load on the engine. In this very narrow case, turning off the AC could result in a small boost in efficiency, maybe a mile or two per gallon better. But even then, the difference isn't game-changing. And let's be real, nobody wants to sit in a stuffy, sweltering car in the middle of summer just to save a few cents. The trade-off in comfort, alertness, and overall enjoyment of your drive is usually not worth it, especially when the gain is so marginal. And again, once you're back on the highway or at cruising speed, that small benefit from turning off the AC tends to disappear or even reverse. But most people don't realize is that the impact of your AC on fuel economy is also tied closely to how you drive. Aggressive acceleration, frequent braking, and speeding all have a much bigger effect on fuel usage than climate control ever could. For instance, constantly revving the engine or rapidly stopping and starting uses more fuel than simply cruising at a steady pace, with or without the AC running. If you want to truly make your air conditioning more efficient, pair it with smoother driving habits. Gradual acceleration, anticipating stops ahead of time, and using cruise control on highways help your vehicle use less energy overall. When the engine isn't overworked, the additional load from the AC becomes a smaller percentage of total energy use, meaning the overall efficiency improves. So if you're serious about fuel economy, focus on your foot, not just your fan. Another problem that's helped this myth survive for so long is the huge market of so-called fuel-saving gadgets. Walk into a car parts store or scroll through a late-night shopping ad, and you'll find all kinds of products promising to improve your gas mileage, and many of them include tips like avoid using your air conditioning to sell their point. Unfortunately, a lot of these claims are exaggerated or outright false. Some of these devices piggyback on outdated advice, like avoiding AC use, suggesting that switching it off can magically boost mileage by 10% or more. In reality, no plug-in device or simple button press will overcome basic physics or the design of your vehicle's engine and climate system. Car manufacturers spend years optimizing how these systems work together. Trying to outsmart your car with third-party hacks or tools usually ends up doing nothing, or worse, interfering with your vehicle's performance. So the next time someone tells you to turn off your AC to save gas, you'll know the truth. It's not about ditching your air conditioner. It's about using it smarter. Technology has moved on, and it's time our advice about driving does too. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. It helps more people find it. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Do you keep the AC blasting all summer, or do you prefer the windows down? And don't forget to subscribe for more myth-busting videos that blend real science with everyday life. Thanks for watching. Stay cool, stay smart, and drive safe.